Well, feeding of stray dogs, a highly contentious, a highly polarizing, emotive issue. And that raises the question, is it even legal to feed stray dogs? Well, we'll try to answer that question, but in doing so, let's remind our viewers that just a few days back, if you're a part of any RWA WhatsApp group, you're sure to have seen a headline just like this. A headline saying that the Supreme Court is now asking the question that if you want to feed a stray dog, why don't you take that dog home? That's a valid headline. Technically, that's right. The Supreme Court has, in fact, made that statement. But this is where things get interesting because it's circulated, giving the impression that somehow the law of the land maybe stands changed on account of this finding, this assertion being made by the Supreme Court, this question being asked from the Supreme Court. And therefore, we try to break it down here in terms of what is an observation and what is an order. Both are attributable to the Supreme Court, so there's nothing wrong with the headlines, nothing wrong with the reportage there. It's for us to understand. An observation, by definition, is oral in nature. It is more in the nature of a statement or a remark or a query that's put across to the lawyer of the party. It has only a guiding force. It is not enforceable. And that's where things change. As far as order is concerned, it is written. Every word that is written, there's application of mind by the judge. This is legally binding. That does become the law of the land, and it is enforceable. If you don't comply with it, you could face contempt action. And that is where it's important to understand that this observation of the Supreme Court, why don't you take the street dogs home if you want to feed them? That is an observation. And because it's an observation, it is not enforceable. It is not legally binding. In fact, speaking of observations, this was not the only one. The Supreme Court made other observations as well about how there's space for animals but not space for humans. Also talking about how try going cycling in the morning, you'll find out with respect to street dogs. Again, these are observations being made by the Supreme Court. These are not orders. And because they're observations, they are not legally binding. They are not enforceable. But since we are talking about legalities, let's address that larger question. Can you feed stray dogs? Well, this is an issue that's governed squarely by the Animal Birth Control Rules of 2023. And as under those rules that are often called the ABC rules, the ABC rules very clearly say that yes, you can go ahead and feed stray animals, feed stray community animals, which include stray dogs. Not only that, the ABC rules say that the RWA shall make necessary arrangements for feeding of community animals, including stray dogs, and also saying that it is the responsibility of the RWA to assign feeding spots and feeding times. Not only that, very often on these same RWA WhatsApp groups, we find suggestions coming in from some residents when they say that these dogs are such a menace, they should be relocated to outside city limits. Well, that is also an issue that the ABC rules deal with. The ABC rules do not provide for relocation of stray dogs to outside of city limits. That's clearly something that's not provided for as far as the ABC rules are concerned. On the contrary, what the ABC rules do say is that even in case these dogs are caught for sterilization or immunization, even in those cases, after this treatment is done, they have to be sent back to exactly the same spot, the same area where they were caught. So that's the question that is being answered by ABC rules on the issue of relocation of animals, of feeding of stray animals, specifically with respect to stray dogs in this case. But that's not all. Let's also understand the legality of it all. The ABC rules fall under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. These rules were notified in 2023, and importantly, they are applicable across the country, all states, all union territories, including your RWA. It's applicable. These ABC rules are currently in effect. Now, this being an emotive issue, clearly saw a lot of commentators come online, come on social media. There were animal activists as well, the likes of Maneka Gandhi. They've clearly said that before people decide to knock on the doors of the Supreme Court, they should do their work with respect to an understanding of the legal provisions, because only when the parties don't have a good legal understanding is that they ask questions which are redundant, which leads to these stray observations and orders, which corrupts the conversation with respect to feeding of stray animals. That's one. Maneka Gandhi also importantly says that it's important to change the narrative. The understanding is that if you feed stray dogs, the populations will grow and therefore they'll become a bigger menace. This is where what Maneka Gandhi seeks to challenge. She says that animals that are well fed, especially dogs that are well fed, that are friendly, it's much easier for the municipal authorities to carry out sterilization and immunization and therefore control their populations.
Thank you for watching CNBC TV 18 and do follow us on all our social media platforms for news, updates and more.